Why, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode here on Temple Racing Television. As always, we present this beautiful podcast every single week where we really go into depth about some leagues, where we talk some stats and really go over how things are getting completed and getting done around here. But first things first, welcome to Total Nonstop Racing Podcast, episode 26. Man, we've been rolling for a good time. But before we dive into anything crazy, I want to give a huge shout out. You guys will figure out and hear which race it was. But we've been waiting for this damn moment. Us here at Temple Racing Television want to congratulate our very own Net Dog Racing on his first ever NASCAR League win. Um, as always, it's me and Nep. Nep, why don't you come in and speak about your win from this week?
Well, thank you, Josh. Definitely didn't see it coming. I've been, putting the time and work into it, to try to make it happen. All I could say is, it was anybody that was in that lobby. You know, I'm a grown ass man. I'm 46 years old, but the emotions. I mean, Josh. I've been doing this racing with you for what, almost 3-4 years now,
Very long time,
and
yes.
and from running hind tit to middle of the pack, and trying everything I can to finally cross that finish line in first. And when I finally crossed it, I mean, it was just like a wave of emotions just come through me. I literally, truly felt what, when you see these guys in NASCAR and they win their first race and they're in
Mm.
victory circle, victory lane, and they got the tears coming down their eyes, and you think it's just, in our aspect, it's just a game. But when you put as much time into it as what we do with the practices and running multiple leagues and multiple nights racing and all, this becomes part of your life. And when you put that much time and effort into it, when you finally accomplish that first win that's been eluding you for so long, it, it's just like a weight lifted off of you. As we've seen, that was on Friday night in the trucks. We went out there Sunday night, and I ran great. And then we went out there on Tuesday night, last night, and still ran good. So it's kind of like that one elusive little thing finally got off my back. Now the pressure's off to go out there and win one. Now it's just go out there and do what I know I'm capable of doing. But I will have to say, I couldn't done this without the support of everybody in the league, and most importantly, my main sponsor, Temple Racing. Um, you've really helped me out throughout the years, and right there towards the end of the next gen, we sat down in a private session because I really wanted to better myself. I wanted to improve my driving skills and all that, and we sat there for hours and went over adjustments and um, my settings and all, and which allowed me to actually find that speed and that edge that I was looking for. So any win I do or any place I finish, man, I've you know they always said, them drivers, they thank their crew chief. Well, I've got to thank you, Josh. I mean, you have been a big inspiration and a big help in all of my driving aspects. So
I wasn't supposed to cry tonight, Nep. Come on, man. We got a show to run. But in all seriousness, I appreciate it. Because that is one thing, and that's when I first got into league racing. It was more of stay selfish. And I didn't win shit when I first got into league racing. I forgot what league it was. It was a truck league. And I was back on Heat 5. And I was like, you know what? I'm doing something wrong. Let me do some work into it. I started putting work into it, and after 2 weeks, I went and got my first win. And then the week after, I won again, and they were just like, "Oh, you're cheating. You're doing this." I'm like, "No, I'm actually getting on practicing." And
right.
from there on out,
Well,
it's been like that.
you know, when I started, you know it. if somebody got by me, I didn't try to, race them hard or anything. It's like, they're a little bit faster than me. I'm just going to let them go.
Mm-hmm.
Minus a leader. Now, still to this day, if lead pack's coming up to me and I'm about to get lapped, I'm not going to race them too hard. I try to get out of the way and let the leaders by and all that. But one thing you told me is you've got to start being a little bit more aggressive. Yep. Otherwise, they're not going to take you serious and they're just going to run over you. And as a result, I've applied that to my racing, and it's like now if people want to push me a little bit, and we're battling for a position, I'm not going to give that mile that I used to give. I'm gonna, if you want to rub fenders with me, I can rub fenders with the best of them just as well. So, starting to grow a backbone.
I love to hear it, and you need it, man. Especially running with a bunch of guys. In all seriousness, as much as we come in there, and in all reality, we're like a big family. When it comes to the competitive side of things, we want to beat each other. And god damn it, you need to have the balls in order to do it, and you have to put the car where you think is going to benefit you. And I always saw you giving. And I see that with another one of our TRT drivers, and McKillay. I wrote him telling him the same thing. You need to stop giving the ground. You need to take. Learn to be a little more aggressive. Learn to make a pass and a move when you feel is 100% right. And we'll get there in a minute, but a little let in for everybody. Nep won Friday. Nep finished second on Sunday, and he finished fucking third last night. So he had
my podium run for the week.
He had a hot fucking week, and yeah, you gotta be more aggressive. And Nep, I'm glad you took that in and really started working on it because, I know you deserve to win. I told everybody I want to make sure Nep gets a win at some point in time, and that's why the super speedways.
Yeah, you popped it, because you wasn't even in the race Friday.
Yeah.
And we're all sitting there after the race and all just kind of chewing the shit, and all of a sudden here you pop in there. It's like, wait a second. Did I just see this right? Did Nep just win the race? And by far, I'll admit I didn't have the best truck. I had a fast truck, especially after making adjustment. But one of those things of being in the right place at the right time, and I said it in a post earlier on the Discord. These people that don't sign up, you're never going to get that win if you don't show up. You never know when you're going to be. I had a top 5 truck. I will say that, which for me, I was happy with. I'd settled in, figured 3rd or 4th, I was good with that, and then Speedy spun out, and I think he collected somebody else, and then a caution came out, and it's like, okay. And Rowdy had a tough, a strong truck as well, and we get that. I started in 4th on that last restart, and it's green white checker, and I noticed Rowdy got by me, and it's like, you know what? There's room. I'm gonna drop down behind Rowdy, and I'm just gonna catch his draft and all that. And I didn't try to pass him that first lap, and then we passed the white flag, and it's like, okay, I gotta find my right maneuver. And then we come out of 2, and he kind of slid up the track a little bit. It's like, okay, I'm gonna make my move now. And I was able to get beside him. We went into 3 side by side, and now I did know that outer lane got a better push off out of the turn 4, so I needed to really make something happen down there. And I looked over, and I saw, as we're coming out of 4, I see Rowdy's truck start to fish a little bit, and I'm like, oh shit. And then all of a sudden he hooks right, and I'm like, oh hell yeah. Man, I was shaking. I crossed the start finish line, and it's like, I was fucking so excited, because I was giving him a drag race to the finish line, I mean, so, but I just was patient. Instead of just immediately off the green flag, I tucked in behind him and allowed his draft to suck me up behind him until it was time to make the move. And I had watched him prior to the restart, and I knew he would go high, and every now and he would slip a little bit. So it's like, well, if I can get a good dive in to the turn, and if it, just by chance he maybe bobbles a little bit, I might get that little bumper out there and beat him to the line. So I hated that he did wreck, but in the same sense, I'm glad he did wreck because it did allow me to smooth sail to the lead. And then we come up Sunday night, um, running right behind Magic Mike, and I knew there was a chance that if I got a good draft off him out of 3 coming into the trioval, my goal was to try to drop below him and kind of get that suction up on the back of him and beat him to the line. Unfortunately, caution came out before we got to the trioval, and I sat there with a second place finish, which I was happy with. Would have been cool to win back-to-back races, yeah, by all means, but yeah, you can't can't complain about a second either. So
Not at all, man. You had a hot week. Um, and it's cool seeing that finally happen because you've been deserving it. Yep. And you know what else we deserve? A recap. So let's dive right into it.
let's get in it.
All right, Nitrous Racing Truck Series. They show up at the good old Texas Motor Speedway.
No, Kansas.
Oh, it was Kansas. I'm an idiot. All right. Starting off here with the heat races. Shiesty and Speedy go out and take their heat races for the evening. And as we were just talking about it, Nepdog takes his first career league race. Nep wins in a wild overtime shootout, racing Dr. Shiesty, Rowdy, and Lakille with 4 laps to go in the race. Speedy spins out, racing for the lead with Shiesty to bring out the nitrous overtime, where Shiesty would eventually spin in turn 1 on the last lap, and I believe he was in third at the time. And it was Shiesty and Rowdy to go out front, and like Nep said, Rowdy lost the truck in the middle of the corner. You go back, watch the replays. Rowdy just kicked sideways, and he caught it, and then he kicked again. And he gripped, and he took him to the wall. But yep, Nep Dog finally a league winner. We love to see it. As you can see, race results here. Let's go over some of the stages. Stage 1, Magic Mike, Sharton, Speedy, Shiesty, and Rowdy. Stage 2, Speedy, Rowdy, Shiesty, Big Mike, and Nep. And the official results will take on Nep Dog winning the race, James in second, Cowboy Watson third, Rowdy fourth, Big Mike fifth, Sharton sixth, seventh Speedy, eighth Shiesty, ninth Lakille, and rounding out your top 10 in the final position was Magic Mike. Coming over here to the point total, Nep tied Speedy for taking in the most points during the race, so that was awesome. And especially with the stage points that Nep had, that was great to see. Speedy and then Rowdy sitting there in third. He was tied with actually with Shiesty, so as you can see, a nice tight point battle there in Kansas. As we come over to the season standings, Reb is resting comfortably in first. Second is tied
Well,
between.
I wouldn't say comfortably. With him not racing this week,
Mm,
Sharton was able to make some ground. He's within 8 points from Reb. So
no,
Reb and Shiesty. So
it's true. They're tied for second. Fourth is sitting there. James, he's a little farther back. Speedy in fifth. And then we have a sixth place TRT tie between Lakille and Nep. And eighth is Big Mike. Rowdy in ninth. So there's 4 TRT boys back to back to back to back. And then rounding out the top 10 is Cowboy Watson. And then as you can see, myself and Wolfie, Magic Mike, Jay, Beerstick, Rooster, which we haven't heard from, Trickle, T-Dog, and then YouTube 99 Kills. All right. Nep, we got some Thursday Night Thunder to cover.
yes, sir, we do. All right, last Thursday night, the Thursday Night Thunder League was at Charlotte Motor Speedway, my backyard. Um, Josh, you wasn't able to make it, so I decided, you know what? Since Josh ain't going to be there, we're not going to be able to broadcast. I'll go ahead and run one more time with them. Probably should have passed on that because that was the only downside to my week this past week in racing. But we go out there in the Pro Late models, and Big Freak would get the fastest qualifier with a 13.281. would go into our heat races. In Heat 1, Clinker 42 would win Heat 1, and Heat 2 would go to Big Freak. Then it was set up for the feature. After the Wheel of Doom, Sharton would just walk away with it. I mean, he started right on the front and just took off from there. It's a dangerous situation anytime Sharton starts in that front row because you know he's going to be a big contention for the win. So he goes out there and picks up the win there in the Pro Late Models, followed by Blake G would finish second. Big Freak would finish third. Hamrick would finish fourth. J. Clay would come in fifth. Rowdy would come in sixth. Mafia Killer would come in seventh. Myself would come in eighth. And Clinker would come in ninth, giving Blake G, who would come up 7 spots to pick up the Hard Charger Award, and Clinker would fall 2 spots to get the Hard Luck Award. J. Clay, and he has declined this $5 Fastest Lap Award, but he did get the Fastest Lap in the Pro Late Model, so this week's race, Fastest Lap award winner would be $10. But J. Clay hit a 13.256 during the race. As we look at our points after tonight, that Thursday night's race, Hamrick sitting there in the lead with 504 points. 9 points behind him is J. Clay with 490 points. Then third place is Sharton with 450 points. Rowdy 1078 sitting in fourth with 445 points. Mafia Killer sitting in fifth with 427 points. And so a strong type points battle going on right there between the two owners of the league, Hamrick and J. Clay. But Sharton, we look back, he missed the first couple races and he's just kind of worked his way up there. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can keep racking up these wins and catch up with these guys. In the switch over to the super late models, Sharton would go out there with the fastest qualifier with a 12.929. In the heat races, Sharton would pick up heat one win, while Rowdy 1078 would pick up the win in heat group number 2. So rack 'em, stack 'em, we're ready for feature racing, and Sharton would sweep the day as he would pick up the feature win for the super late models at Charlotte, followed by Mafia Killer would finish second. Blake G would finish third. Hamrick would finish fourth. Big Freak would finish fifth. J. Clay would finish sixth. Rowdy would finish seventh. Clinker would finish eighth. And I would round out the field, finishing ninth place. Hard Charger went to Blake G as he gained 4 spots. And I just couldn't figure it out. I started on the pole, and I had no hard luck, and I lost 8 spots. So I just couldn't figure out the car, unfortunately. But Sharton would go out there and get the fastest lap with a 12.9 flat, but he has deferred the $5 win. So along with the pro, the super late models will be fastest lap will be a $10 prize this week. So as we look at the points, J. Clay is sitting there in first with 508 points, followed by Hamrick with 503 points. Mafia Killer sitting in third with 485 points. Sharton is sitting in fourth with 451 points. And fifth is Rowdy 1078 with 396 points. So, I'm not quite sure how many more races they got on their schedule, but it's starting to heat up, and J. Clay and Hamrick are sitting there battling there. Some things change. Possibly Mafia Killer could make a charge here towards the end. Same with Sharton. So it's going to be interesting to see how things pan out. But this week, tomorrow night, live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Thursday Night Thunder Series will be live in the Pros and Supers at Durango Park Raceway. Be there, be loud. Thursday night belongs to us.
Well, thank you, Nep. That was a lot of info to go over. And everything is covered from A to Z with Thursday Night Thunder. All right, now we move on to the D2T ARCA revamp series, starting off with being at Talladega, race 7 on the season. So we're starting to closely get closer to the playoff. Well, not the playoffs with Chase, but we'll get there in a moment. As we go through our heats, heat winners are Jay Clay and Wolfie Man to start off, and they sat on the pole for the race. And as we went through that race, we actually ran manual cautions for the first time. And, Nep, I'm
Work
sure.
in progress.
Yep, I can agree. Work in progress, but we'll
I
have
mean,
rules out.
I won't say it was a wash. I mean, there was good things and bad things to it. There's things. Anytime you try something new, there's going to be bugs that you've got to. Okay, and the best way to figure them out is to go out there and do it. And so, after running this race, we now know, coming from the owner aspects and all that. Okay, what adjustments we need to make so that this concept will go smoother as we go on. So, but I think with your brain and all that, we'll get it figured out and we'll be ready to go this week.
Yeah, my brain is functioning, ready to figure it all out. But yes, we definitely will have rules back out for those cautions, probably within the next couple days or so. But back to that, we went. I don't know how many cautions we had. We did have over 30 lead changes, what was awesome, and we had 10 different leaders. But at the end of the day, Magic Mike brings the magic and pulls off his first ARCA win, winning race 7 at Talladega. And Nep, like you said, you were in second place right up his ass. Third place was Rowdy. Fourth place was myself. And then what ended the race was the big combustion of cars between Bullet Bob, Lakille, Big Mike, James, and Jay Clay, and I believe Sharton. I think everyone else was unscathed, but that was the ending to that. And time to look at some points. You have Shiesty at 258, me sitting in second with 251, Magic Mike sitting in third with 221, Reb, since he missed the race, sitting in fourth with 218. Nep, you're sitting in the top 5 with 197. James is in sixth with 194. Sharton's at 193. Speed's at 186. Big Mike's at 172. Bob's at 160. J. Clay's at 158. And Lakille is tied with Heezy for 12th. But he has a tiebreaker because he has a better average finish. Look how close all these points are.
Yeah, I mean, you even go as far back as 14th in points. Hamrick, he's only 6 points out of the chase. So, it's tightening up really tight. So.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. But as we see, 4 races left until the chase begins. We have Richmond coming up on the 9th, Dover on the 16th, Charlotte on the 23rd, and then Iowa Speedway on the 30th. So we got a lot of fun stuff coming up for that series as we pull closer to go time, and that's the chase. Whoever's going to have the bonus points going into it. It's going to be very interesting to see, and I am here for it. Nep, we got some Twisted Mayhem shootout to go over. Take it away.
Yes, sir. Last night, the Twisted Mayhem Shootout Series was at Pocono, the Tricky Triangle. We have a blast with these series, and I'd like to see a lot more people come in, but whether we've got 5 guys or 50 guys, we have a blast with this series. It's a different concept, as I've said every week, so it makes things interesting. We'd go out there. Speedy would just win the first two stages outright. He had the car to beat, and um, that last stage he was leading and come out of. I think he come out of the tunnel turn and caught the wall and just shot down and just like creamed his car. And with that last stage being a shootout stage, um, if you have to pit to fix any damage with with no caution came out, you know, your night was shot. So unfortunately, Speedy wasn't able to bounce back and try to bend for the lead, but there was a strong battle up front between Magic Mike and Shiesty, as Magic Mike would pick up the win, followed by Shiesty in second. I would finish third. La Killer would finish fourth. Sharton would finish fifth, and Speedy would finish sixth. All in all, a fun night of racing. It was a blast. Pocono's a fun track once you get figuring out the proper turn in and all that. But let's look at the points real quick. After 4 races, Speedy currently has the points lead with 391 points. I'm sitting in, yes, I said that right. I'm sitting in second in points, 53 points behind Speedy. Sharton is sitting in third, 56 points behind. Magic Mike sitting in fourth with 77 points behind Speedy. Rowdy is sitting in fifth, 129 points behind. Sharton is sitting in sixth. La Killer sitting in seventh. Wolfie Man sitting in eighth. Josh, you're currently running ninth in points. James Has Speed is 10th, and Trickle is sitting 11th in points. Now, one of the keys, showing up is key, guys. I mean, out of everybody that's ran, only 3 guys have ran all 4 races, being Speedy, myself, and Sharton. So this week we will be at Daytona. So another super speedway. So pack racing. It's going to be a blast. Hopefully we get a good field count. If not, we're going to go out there and have fun no matter what. So that wraps it up for the Twisted Series this week.
Thank you, Nep. We appreciate you covering the series, of course, your baby, and everyone's actually having fun that hops in there, so that's always a good thing. Um, well, this is where we wind down the show. Starting off with our first sponsor, First Place Auto Glass. If you're in the Jamestown, New York area, if you need a glass guy, Bob is your man. For all serious inquiries, please email firstplaceautoglass@yahoo.com and let him know that TRT Boys sent you. Temple Racing Television, sponsored by Dubby. Head over to www.dubby.gg and use the promo code TEMP26 and get 10% off your order. As well as congratulations to the dog, Nep Dog Racing, on landing a partner sponsorship with W Energy. Fuel your game, power your passion. Use promo code NEPDOG45 and get 10% off your order. www.dubby.gg. And speaking of Dubby, Nep tried his today. Nep, what kind did you have and how was it?
Oh my goodness, it was something grenade, but
Galaxy Grenade?
damn. Galaxy Grenade. That was right. It was. Last night, of course, we ran the Twisted Series. We got done a little after 10 o'clock. I went ahead and got all my points done and all that before I went to bed. Had to be up at 3 o'clock this morning to get ready for work. So I'm sitting there at work this morning, and I'm feeling myself start to nod. I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna fall asleep at work and we'll get fired. I reached in my work bag, pulled out the little package that they sent me, threw it with some water, shook it up, drank it, and I was good to go for the rest of the day. Man, I messaged you, Josh. I said, man, Josh, I just had W, and man, that shit was good. So, by all means, guys, go over there. Whether you use Josh's promo code or my promo code, man, get you some W. I am an avid Monster drinker, and usually I drink a Monster and it messes my stomach a little bit and all that. I didn't have any issues today. I didn't. It didn't have a bitter taste at that when you got to that last little bit of it. You know, there was no after bite to it. I mean, it's sweet but not too sweet. You know, I enjoyed it. I got like my pack that they sent me. They sent me oh god, I'm gonna get this wrong. Some type of beach thing. But then I've got a couple other packages in there as well that I'm gonna try. So I'm definitely gonna be trying a few different flavors. You know, so yeah, definitely head on over to W Energy. And if you are a streamer, get on there and submit to be a sponsor. They'll review your stuff and get yourself a sponsorship. You know, so by all means, W Energy definitely the way to go.
Well said, Neb. Thank you very much. Well, we have concluded tonight's show. Neb, are you ready to say it? Because I don't think you are, but we can try.
I'm always ready.
All right, on a count of three. One, two, three. To be
To be
continued.
continued.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for stopping in. Thank you always for tuning in to Total Nonstop Racing Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's podcast, and we hope you guys have a wonderful